Hey everybody, and welcome to my kitchen table. Today we are doing something a little bit different, and so I thought it required a different location than normal, and that is we are talking about the Simplified Planner. I have done a video on this already, kind of doing an in-depth walkthrough of the layouts and things when I first got this. If you're interested in seeing more details of the planner, definitely check out that video and I will have it linked for you. But today we're tackling something that's been pretty requested ever since I got this planner, actually, and I got this back in August of 2015, and a lot of folks were wondering how I was using this Simplified Planner, and I have the weekly edition, how I was using this planner on a regular basis for planning. And to be honest, the reason why it's taken me 6 months to film this video is because I've been really kind of figuring out what works for me, what system has worked. I've tried a couple different ways of using this, and I feel like I've settled on the perfect way for me. It may not be the perfect way for you, but if you're nosy like me, I like to see how people are using their planners. And so I thought I would take the opportunity to kind of walk with you step by step how I use this planner to plan for the upcoming month, how I plan for the upcoming week when I sit down for planner time on Sundays, and then how I plan for the next day using this planner and a few other tools, which I'll walk you through too. So if that interests you at all, then please stay tuned. Just, warning, it is long. So it's a long video, but if you, again, are nosy like I am, then this video will just naturally appeal to you. So stay tuned. All right, so really excited to share with you how I use the Simplified Planner, and this is the weekly edition. And I use a couple things when I sit down to plan out my month, and when I set out to plan for the next week, and when I set out to plan for the next day. So I wanted to walk you through those 3 scenarios and how I use this planner and then my other tools. So first, we're gonna start by planning out the next month. And since it's almost March, I am gonna flip to March and we are gonna plan out March. So this is the monthly spread of the Simplified Planner. It is very basic. As you can see, there's like a little knit section here, and then it's got laid in some major holidays. So that's great. So I tend to plan out my month a week before the month ends. So that's when I sit down and I pull out my phone. And on my phone, I pull up my calendar. My husband and I share an iCal calendar for our family appointments and whatnot. And that's where he also keeps his work schedule, particularly things that will take him away from the house, for dinner time, and that might affect different things. But I also keep appointments, doctor appointments, all those kinds of things in my phone. And I don't write them in my planner until a month out on the monthly view page spread. So, and the reason why I do that is because I find that appointments change. You can write appointments in your planner, months in advance, and those appointments may change, and then you're having to scratch things out and move them around, and that just bugs me. So I prefer to do this step a month at a time, and I find that's really, really helpful for me. So what I do is I just pull up my my calendar, and I like to look at it in the list view where it just kind of, I don't know if you can actually see it, but if it just lists out the different appointments that we've got, and I write in any major appointments, vacation blocks, things that affect my husband's schedule, anything major like that on this monthly view. And so I'm gonna do that right now. Just a quick note of how I write these in the different squares. I tend to put a morning time-based appointments at the top of the squares, and then evening appointments in the bottom, and then just trying to fill in the gaps a little bit as I go. But yeah, that's usually the plan. Okay, I think I've got everything written in here. I have some things that have timestamps, some things that don't. Some things just always happen at the same time, so I don't bother about writing in timestamps. But other appointments that are specific, like I have an OB appointment, I wrote that in with the time next to it. Other than that, that is pretty much the big planning that I do for the month. I write in any appointments that I know are coming, big weekends where we need to be away, big Duke basketball games, which are important, birthdays, that kind of thing I put in here. I'll also talk about what I like to do on the notes section of the Simplified Planner. This is where I will actually write several months out. I'll write some things here. This is where I will keep things to remember to either research when I get to this particular month and this planning stage. Like for example, I wrote on here when exactly was Elizabeth's school spring break, like when they weren't going to be in session. And I looked that up ahead of time before I started writing everything in, so I knew exactly when those spring break days were going to be. And some other things to kind of plan in when I'm thinking about this month. And so those are things like kind of like goals or things that are kind of month sensitive that I might want to consider when I'm starting to plan out. And those are things I will write in advance. So yeah, so that's how I do my monthly planning. So let's talk about the weekly plan. This is something that I sit down on Sundays, Sunday afternoons, and I kind of do a couple different things. First off is I fill out my calendar for the entire week, and those are a lot of things are the appointments that I just filled in for the monthly spread. So some of those things that are happening that week, I fill them in for the weekly spread for that week. And then the other thing I fill in that are reoccurring weekly tasks, like some of my cleaning. I do the same cleaning every single weekday, so I fill those in, and any other tasks that I know happen on a regular basis on particular days of the week. And then the last thing I do based on the appointments that we've got going on for given days and that type of thing, then I fill in the meal plans, and they have the meal plan box for every day of the week for the Simplified Planner. So what I do first is write in any appointments that I've got that are either time stamped or happen at specific times for each day of the week. And for that, I'm just gonna flip back and forth between my monthly spread where I just filled it out, and then look on and then write it in on my weekly spread. And then I'll also refer to my phone on Sundays too, just to make sure something didn't sneak in, particularly when it comes to my husband and his schedule that might take him away from the home in the evening and might change when we have dinner, that type of thing. So I will do that. So here's a perfect example of why I don't like to, oh, you've got a sunbeam. There's a sunbeam. This is a perfect example of why I've stopped pre-writing in appointments at like months in advance, because here was a doctor's appointment that I wrote down kind of how I was using this planner before, and I'm not using it the same way now. I use this left lined section here as sort of the top. I like to put in the appointments, and I put them in chronological order, and then I use the rest of the space for things that I'd like to get done but aren't super important. And then I use this bulleted section here on the right side for the, like, if I do nothing else today, I need to get these things done. And that really is helpful for me. And that's how I started using it probably in the last 2 or 3 months. How I was using this before, and why this pesky little appointment is hanging out here and it's gonna bug me, was that I was using this section as like a timeline section. So I was thinking that I would like having my time more scheduled, meaning, you know, having these be particular periods of time throughout the day and schedule my time appropriately. So these are the things that I'd like to get done from 1 to 3. These are the things I'd like to get done at 5. These are appointments, yada, yada, yada. And I was using this left section for that. I found that that's just not how my life realistically works as a stay-at-home mom. So I started instead using it how I just described it, where the top couple lines are dedicated to appointments and things that are actually have time commitments around it, and then the rest of it is dedicated to things that I'd like to get done but maybe don't happen, so, or at least don't have to happen today or on that particular day. So this little appointment thingy is gonna bug me, so I'm actually gonna scratch that out. I just rather scratch it out and write it at the top, and it's the only appointment for the day, so I am just gonna write it right at the top with a little checkbox. Alrighty, and then I'm gonna go throughout the rest of my week and fill in any other appointments that happen. All right, that is all of my time-related appointments layered in here. The next thing that I do on Sundays to plan for the whole week is to lay in the tasks that I have that are reoccurring, and those are primarily cleaning things. And so for that, I'm just gonna flip back to the previous week and start grabbing those reoccurring tasks on the right-hand side and just laying those in. And I will say, if you're interested in seeing a more detailed post about how I organize my cleaning schedule for the week, I've done one like maybe 2 years ago. I did a post on that, and it's for the most part still accurate. So if you're interested, I'll have that linked for you. But if you want to see an updated one of that, I would be happy to share. It at least keeps me sane. Okay, so now that I've laid in my cleaning schedule, as I said, I put those in the, must absolutely do sections on the right side. And again, if I just making sure I do a little bit of cleaning every single day just keeps me sane. And I do them primarily cleaning on Monday through Friday. I may do some tidying on Sunday, but other than that, I try to stick to Monday to Friday doing some serious cleaning. But now that I've got that laid in, the next thing that I do is lay in my blog posts for the week. At least if I kind of know, and normally I know what I'm gonna do for the week as far as blogging, and some weeks I don't, so that's just how it goes. But I do actually know this week. So Monday is always my Menu Monday post, and this week it is all about new recipes with a couple of my blogging buddies, so we're tackling that. Tuesday is gonna be my March favorites, actually. That's a video. And then Friday for sure is a high five for Friday link up post. And then I think on Thursday, I'm gonna squeeze in another video, and that's gonna be another video for my everyday series. So the last thing that I do is menu plan, and for that I usually pull up Pinterest, my recipe books and whatnot, and kind of look and see what appointments we've got going on that will affect dinner times, like what days do we need to have quick dinners versus days where we have longer amount of time to cook dinner, and I kind of plan it out that way. I'm not going to bore you with that, writing kind of that menu planning process, and I'm not going to write anything in right now for the purposes of this video, so you don't get too bored. But yeah, that's basically what I do as the last step for my weekly planning. And then for daily planning happens for me usually in the evenings. I take about 10 to 15 minutes to sit down with my planner and map out what needs to happen the next day. I usually have certain days where I do certain things. So for example, Tuesdays are usually my blog computer day where I film a lot of videos. I usually edit videos, write some blog posts, that kind of thing. Thursdays are usually my big time cleaning day. Fridays we usually stay home and do more cleaning, kind of preparing for the weekend, and then maybe run an errand. So it's like I've got certain days that I try to do certain things, but I do sit down and kind of look at what did I accomplish today, and what do I need to accomplish tomorrow that didn't get done today, and then sort of like the must do. So I sit down, and one thing that I use is obviously looking at the current day, what didn't get done, and then I also refer to this. I've talked about this in my everyday video where I talked about my favorite organizing tools, and this is a Moleskine Volant. And so in here is actually, I utilize this as like a brain dump notebook. You can see it's been lovingly decorated by a toddler as well. But I use this cheap little simple notebook as a place to just make lists, plan out all of that, because the Simplified Planner doesn't really allow for a lot of just planning and list making. There's no space for that really. And so I kind of use this as my scratch pad, so to speak. So when I sit down and plan out my next day, I take this into account and look and see if there's anything that I have time to tackle, or think something that I've been meaning to tackle and haven't yet. I also take a look and see what hasn't been accomplished from the previous day, or maybe even from the previous week. So sometimes I will do that. I'll sit down when I'm planning out the next day, I'll look back the previous week and say, oh my goodness, I have been meaning to do this, and I still haven't yet. So let's get that done. And I will write it on my bulleted section on the right-hand side, my, if nothing else, this got done section. And then there might be some other things that I just want to get accomplished, like different tasks. So I will write that on my left-hand side, and that I'll do little tick boxes so I can check things off. But this is reserved for the stuff that I want to get done, particularly on that Monday, Tuesday, where I kind of dedicate to more blog-related things, and there are more like sit-down tasks related to those. So I'll write down those tasks on the left-hand side. And, if they don't get accomplished by the end of the day, I don't beat myself up over it. But I do really focus on the stuff on the right-hand side. That's really where my focus is. And that's where, my blog post for the day is kept. That's where my meal plan is kept. So it really just made sense to make that right-hand side of the planner dedicated to the do this or your day will fall apart section. So that's how I use the Simplified Planner, and I hope that was helpful for you, because I know I enjoy seeing how people use their fancy planners, and the system may not be perfect for you, but it at least gives you an idea how somebody uses it for both a monthly planning, weekly planning, and daily planning. So I hope this video was interesting to you as much as it was for me to film and give you an inside scoop of how I use this planner. If you have any questions whatsoever, if you saw a process that stuck out and you're like, ooh, tell me more about that, or I have a question, how do you use this or that? How do you move things from one week to the next? Whatever it is, please leave them down in the comments below, and I'll either answer them for you in the comments, or it may just be a really awesome question. I'm like, ooh, I should maybe do another video on that and describe that in more detail. So please let me know down in the comments if you have any questions, and let me know if you have any questions on the Simplified Planner. Again, I have the weekly edition. There's a daily version too, and if you want to see any other details regarding the planner, certainly check out the Simplified Planner website. But I also have a blog post with pictures and close-up, all of those kinds of details that you can check out too. So thanks so much for watching. Again, let me know if you have any questions and I'll answer them down below. Thanks very much for sticking through with this video. Bye!